Hello, my dears. Daniela here, and welcome to another episode of the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. Now, we are just getting back from Salt Lake City. That's where we hosted our very first in-person spa manager certification event with Addo Wellness Institute. It was so much fun. I had an absolute blast getting to know these ladies and also really understanding from a different perspective the questions, the thought processes of the manager, of the employee versus the CEOs. Now, I've worked with CEOs for about a decade, and it was so like a piece of the puzzle came in more clarity and really just understanding the ecosystem of the spa, the complexities of the spa, because what employees and managers are thinking about and the way that they're processing information is very different than the CEO, who tends to be the visionary, who tends to be living a couple years in advance of, where the spa is heading to. So it really was just so enjoyable for me. I had so much fun with these ladies, talking with them, learning and growing with them. And oh my gosh, Salt Lake City is so beautiful. I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but the mountains are gorgeous. People were super kind. I absolutely loved it. I took my husband and kids with me, and my husband was like, all right, let's move to Utah. We're not moving to Utah, but it was just one of those places that we were very, very pleasantly surprised. So we broke up the day into two different chunks. So in the morning time, we had a lot of kind of theory where we were role playing and we were discussing team communication. We were discussing leadership. And we were really facilitating some great conversations based off of common situations in spa that come up around some sort of conflict. I've actually got two of those scenarios that I'm going to share with you a little bit later in the episode in case you want to take these and facilitate some of these conversations with your team as well, because they were just really great conversation starters. I notice, a lot of times in a new environment, people are not just going to unload everything that's going on in the day-to-day. But when you start to ask about these situations or present situations, they're like, yeah, that's actually happened in my spa, and here's what we did. And this happened in my spa, and here's what we did. So it was a really fun way to work. And then in the second half of the day, we were focusing on practical application. So we were getting to work. They all had to come to the event with, what is the number one problem that I want to solve over the next 2 days? And we got to work. We really customized that event to focus on whether they needed to understand event planning, or whether they needed to understand systems, or whether they needed to understand and facilitate better communication. We are a trade school. We are teaching the business of aesthetics. I didn't want to be up there giving them death by PowerPoint. I want them to have real practical skills that they can take into the spa, because these ladies are already working as spa managers. So how can we fine tune and make them better and make them more effective, build more trust with the CEO, right? That was my ultimate goal. And I will say something I'm really proud of is that, we asked everybody at the beginning what was their number one thing. We left it on the whiteboard up there. And by the end of the trip, how we closed it out was, did we accomplish this goal? And every single person had accomplished their goal. So that was really cool. So another thing that I was really pleasantly surprised by was the level of commitment that these spa managers had to the spas that they were working at and to the CEO that they were working for. And I'm going to give one example of a gal who, her CEO, her name is Kiki. And this gal kept saying, I'm on Team Kiki. I'm on Team Kiki. And what a great culture that's been facilitated there, that she just is so focused on how can she support the CEO? How can she support the vision? And for me, that was such a great example of proving that there are good people out there that want to support the CEO, that want to support the vision. I know oftentimes people say it's hard to find good people. It's hard to find people that are focused and dedicated on really working and are not just lazy in what they're doing. Um, I promise there are, and I had a whole bunch of them in the room with me. So the thing, though, that I noticed when I was really zooming out and saying, okay, the questions that they're asking, what is the real question? What's the question behind the question that needs to be answered? And really, it came down to the spa managers needing to have a very clear example, structure, direction on what do they have ownership of? What are they expected to do in the day to day? What are they able to make choices on without consulting with the CEO? That was a big piece that I was seeing coming up. I see that coming up over in Growth Factor as well, is how are we really identifying what these specific roles are? How are we fine tuning? And how do we get our managers to be able to make decisions without us? Well, the answer is that it comes down to clear policy, clear communication. If you have a cancellation policy, then your spa manager knows what to do to enforce it. Plain and simple, right? But there's a lot of other bigger picture policies that need to be defined and really communicated effectively with the CEO, and making sure that you're having regular communication. And regular communication is not, once a week we sit down. When you have someone and you're the CEO and you have someone managing, there's got to be daily communication. It doesn't mean you have to be on Zoom going through, but you've got to at least interact on Slack, on whatever communication tool that you're using, to keep everybody updated, to keep everybody on the same page of what is going on. You as the CEO are the visionary. You're giving the direction. The spa manager is the executor. They are enforcing all the things that need to happen in the day-to-day to make sure that your vision goes into effect. Okay. So let me give you a couple of examples of things that we were talking about at this event. And you can kind of see how you can utilize this as some great conversation starters in your practice. So let's talk about inventory. So let's say that you have a CEO that's focused on ordering weekly. All right. They're wanting to streamline expenses. And as the manager, this is from the manager's perspective, you feel really stressed out because it's taking a ton of your time. It's making you fall behind on your day-to-day tasks. Now, what do? What is your option if this CEO is like, no, we just got to order weekly, but it's actually taking you 2 to 3 extra hours a week to facilitate this, and it's energetically making you off because you're feeling overwhelmed? Well, I mean, one option is you can share how you're feeling. You can suggest ordering on a monthly basis, but right, we always want to come with a solution, right? So, hey, I'm feeling really stressed out. Could we order monthly? I know for me, if I were in that situation, I were the CEO and my manager came to me and just said, I'm feeling stressed out, could we order monthly? That's not enough data for me to make a decision. And so what we were talking about at this event is saying, okay, what if you take 30 minutes of your time, you put together a spreadsheet, you show the amount of time that you're spending on ordering each week, you show how much money you would have spent ordering on a weekly basis, and you compare that to what you would have spent if you would have ordered strategically on a monthly basis. And you're showing the difference in the numbers, not only in payroll, but also in discounts that you get. Because a lot of skincare companies, you order buy 6, get 1 free, or, whatever it is, or you get some level of discount based on the size and quantity of order. Now, I'm not suggesting tie up all your cash in inventory, but I think that ordering on a monthly basis in accordance with whatever your PARs are is a great way to not only save payroll dollars, but to save um, money and make your retail more profitable. So for you as the spa manager to come to the CEO to say, hey, here's the analysis. Here's what we would save in my time. Here's what we would save in dollars by ordering. Here's what our PARs are. Here's how I think we can really manage and fine tune that. What do you say that we test out for the next 1 to 2 months, ordering in this manner, and see if we can't increase our profit? For me, that's a lot more information, better information for me as the CEO to be able to make a decision. And hey, the CEO still might say no. And we have to respect their decision. It's their business. They are making that decision. But as the manager, then you want to say, okay, perfect, no problem. Just so I understand your thought process, can you explain to me why we are choosing to do this weekly? Because I want to make sure that I can spend my time working in alignment with whatever your vision is. You're asking for a teaching moment. Okay. So you're not getting defensive or argumentative. You're really trying to understand, because there may be a reason. Maybe they're ordering in this way because of XYZ thing coming up. It's great for you to be able to understand what that vision is and understand the why so that you can help get there faster. All right. So that's kind of a fun example of the types of conversations that we were having at this event. Now, I'm going to give you 2 more examples and that you guys can do yourself with your team. And it'll be fun to hear. Maybe in the comments, you can let me know what you think the answer is. And we can have a conversation around that. But here's scenario number 1. And sorry to anybody named Amy. This was just a random number. I know a lot of Amy's that I love. Okay. So Amy hits all of our numbers. She is the top salesperson at the spa when it comes to retail sales, pre-book, and all of the important financial metrics that you are tracking. But she's awful to work with. She's very territorial with the other provider. She never helps out with the other tasks, like laundry or pitching in for a front desk shift when needed. You have another provider who's out sick and you're needing her help. How do you approach Amy? So how many of you guys have had an Amy in your spa before where they're hitting their numbers, but they're really detrimental to the team? They're really causing bad morale, conflict within the team. What do you do in that situation? How do you, as the manager or as the CEO, transition Amy into being a team player? So that's scenario number 1. Okay. Have fun with that conversation. Let me know what you do with Amy in the comments. And scenario number 2 that you can use to kind of play with your team. You got a team full of team players. You have a dream team, okay? But you're always struggling with inventory errors. Your providers and your front desk, they just put away product when it comes in, but it's not getting into your spa software appropriately. How do you create, communicate, and ensure that a process is followed? And this happens, guys, in every spa. The boxes come in, the estheticians get excited. Maybe they start calling their client that, was waiting for this to come in before it gets put into inventory. Someone else puts it in, and then you've got these discrepancies. And you're wondering if you have a loss problem when really people are just selling product before it gets put in there. This is when there's a lot of hands in the pot, a lot of people ready, willing, and able to help out. But when there's different people owning different parts, maybe one person ordered and another person received, and you don't know what they actually ordered, there can be a lot of issues that come up here. So if you're the spa manager or if you're the CEO acting as the spa manager, how do you, number 1, create a policy around this to what is the new process? Is there going to be one person who's responsible for matching what you ordered? Okay. Like, how are you going to solve that issue? How are you going to communicate that with your staff? And then how are you going to ensure that that process is followed? Those are the three things, right? So many people have this issue with inventory, but the real thing is, how do you create, communicate, and ensure that the process is followed? So anyway, we had a ton of fun at the event over the past couple of days. I want you guys to take some of these questions, use them as an exercise for yourself, with your staff, facilitate some of those fun conversations, and solve problems before they become a problem. All right, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next week.